Hey, I'm Kevin. This is Sports Lab 100, and today's episode, Blue 5, Brayden Schenn. I'm doing this channel because it's free. I like sports, and I like research. I'm not an entertainer or an entrepreneur, but I care about sports history, and in particular, these teams and these players. And I tried to find a channel like that, and I couldn't, so that's what I made here. That's what this project is. Appreciation for the best players, past and present, with a focus on one game where they had an impact. This is Sports Lab 100, and this year we're following the St. Louis Blues, amongst others. Each series is the 100 most impactful players in franchise history. I used different metrics for different sports. For the NHL, I used point shares and goalie point shares in the same column. Brayden Schenn, as you can see, ranks 24th in Blues history by this metric, and he's Blue 05. He's a 6'1", 200-pound center from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. He was born August 22nd, 1991. Hockey was already very much in his family. His older brother, Luke Schenn, he's a defenseman good enough to be drafted 5th overall by Toronto in 2008. 1 year later, Brayden selected 5th overall, same spot. Before that, Schenn developed in Saskatoon, then joined the Brandon Wheat Kings in the Western Hockey League. He didn't arrive quietly either. As a 16-year-old rookie, he led Brandon with 28 goals and 71 points. He got named the WHL's Rookie of the Year. The next season, his NHL draft year, he produced 88 points in 70 games. Scouts saw a center with enough skill to create offense, enough strength to operate in traffic, and enough hostility to make life unpleasant for whoever happened to be standing nearby. The LA Kings selected him 5th overall in 2009, and Schenn made his debut that fall. But his path to becoming a full-time NHL player didn't happen right away. He moved between LA and junior hockey, captained Brandon. Later, he returned home to play for the Saskatoon Blades. He also produced one of the great performances in the World Juniorship Championship history. Playing for Canada in 2011, he recorded 8 goals and 18 points in 7 games. Canada lost the gold medal game to Russia, but Schenn was still named the tournament's most valuable player. He'd been drafted as a major piece of the Kings' future. Instead, he became a major piece in a trade. In June 2011, LA sent Schenn, Wayne Simmons, and a second-round choice to Philadelphia for Mike Richards and Rob Bordson. Richards helped the Kings win 2 Stanley Cups. Schenn and Simmons became important flyers. Sometimes in a trade, everybody gets what they need. Schenn spent 6 seasons in Philly. His offense was developing gradually, from a young player trying to establish himself into eventually a regular 20-goal threat who could play center or wing, work on the power play, and supply some violence when necessary. His final Flyer season was his best. In 2016-17, he scored 25 goals, and he tied Alex Ovechkin and Nikita Kucherov for the NHL lead with 17 power play goals. Then the Flyers traded him to St. Louis for Jori Lehtera and 2 first-round picks. And those picks eventually became Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. That's a substantial price. Schenn made it worthwhile. He recorded a career-high 70 points during his first season with the Blues and earned the only All-Star selection of his career to date. 2 years later, he helped the Blues win the Stanley Cup. Schenn scored 5 goals and 12 points during the 2019 postseason. And he wasn't a central character in every game, but he fit the identity of that team perfectly. He could score, finish checks, he could absorb punishment, he could remain involved when playoff hockey became less about beauty and more about survival. Later in 2019, the Blues gave him an 8-year contract worth $52 million. It was an extension. September 2023, after Ryan O'Reilly departed, Schenn became the 24th captain in franchise history. Less than 2 months later, he produced the game we're here for. On November 11th, 2023, the Blues visited the Colorado Avalanche at Ball Arena. St. Louis entered at 6-5-1. Colorado was 8-4. St. Louis already visited Denver 10 days earlier and lost that one 4-1. Colorado is still one of the most dangerous teams in the league, with Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Cale Makar capable of turning a reasonably normal hockey game into a five-alarm fire. The Avalanche had stumbled recently, losing 4 of 6, but they remained undefeated against Central Division opponents. But for one night, the Blues looked like the best team in hockey. Schenn needed 1 minute and 8 seconds to put him ahead. Torrey Krug fired from the point. Schenn established himself in front of Alexander Georgiev. He redirected the puck into the net for his third goal of the season. It wasn't delicate, but it was Brayden Schenn hockey. Colorado pushed back, but Jordan Binnington, he was good to handle the early pressure. With just over a minute remaining in the first period, Brandon Saad drove towards the net and created another chance. Schenn collected the puck near the crease, waited for Georgiev to go down, and lifted it over him. 2 goals for the captain, 2-0 Blues. It's already a pretty good period, but the Blues weren't done. With 2 seconds remaining, Robert Thomas found Krug above the right circle. Krug snapped the puck past Georgiev. St. Louis carried a 3-0 lead into the intermission. So the Avalanche allowed 3 goals in one period. The third one came late enough that they didn't have enough time to feel bad about it before leaving the ice. Colorado generated chances in the second, but Binnington continued to hold the line. Then the Blues turned an Avalanche power play into more damage. Oskar Sundqvist and Pavel Buchnevich escaped a 2-on-1. Sundqvist delivered the pass, Buchnevich finished, and St. Louis led 4-0 on a shorthanded goal. Rantanen finally broke through with less than 4 minutes remaining in the second period, redirecting a make-our shot past Binnington. Theoretically, 4-1 is a manageable deficit. The Blues removed that theory almost immediately when the third period started. With St. Louis on the power play, Thomas sent a cross-ice pass to Buchnevich, who then buried a one-timer 80 seconds into the period. A little more than a minute later, St. Louis went back on the power play. Thomas controlled the puck along the right side and found Schenn waiting in the slot. Schenn hammered it past Georgiev, hat trick. It was the 4th hat trick of Schenn's career, and it made the score 6-1. Hats landed on the ice in Denver for the visiting captain. That's how thoroughly the Blues had taken control of the building. Schenn added an assist on Buchnevich's first power play goal, giving him 4 points for the night. But Buchnevich still had some personal business to complete. With 4 minutes remaining, Thomas sent him away on another shorthanded opportunity. Buchnevich scored on the breakaway for his own hat trick. 2 Blues recorded hat tricks in the same game. Thomas finished with 4 assists. Schenn had 3 goals and an assist. Buchnevich had 3 goals. Binnington stopped 36 of Colorado's 38 shots. Alexei Toropchenko added 1 more goal before Jack Johnson scored for Colorado in the final seconds. Final score, Blues 8, Avalanche 2. That's 8 goals against the recent Stanley Cup champion in its own building, with 2 hat tricks, 2 power play goals, and 2 shorthanded goals. That's not a winning hockey game. That's repossessing it. Afterwards, Schenn explained the Blues had studied league-wide scoring trends after their earlier loss in Colorado. The lesson wasn't revolutionary. Get the puck deep, wear teams down, shoot when the opportunity is there, put bodies near the net. Schenn also admitted he didn't consider himself a pure goal scorer. And that's fair enough, but on this night, he scored once with a deflection, once by waiting out near the goaltender, near the crease, and once with a clean power play shot from the slot. I think that's a fairly complete demonstration. Colorado coach Jared Bednar described his team's third period as the worst he had ever seen from the club. He said the Avalanche had been outplayed at forward, on defense, and in goal. There really wasn't a counter argument available. The Avalanche recovered from that miserable stretch and finished the regular season with 107 points, fourth best record in the Western Conference. Colorado then met the Winnipeg Jets in the opening round. Winnipeg, they won 52 games and allowed the fewest goals in the league. They had a really good defense. The Avalanche scored 28 goals in 5 games, eliminating them completely and quickly. Colorado then faced Dallas in the second round, and they themselves got eliminated in 6. Meanwhile, the Blues, they finished with 92 points, 43, 33, and 6. Sounds like a playoff record until you look at the other Western Conference teams. Vegas claimed the final wildcard position with 98 points, and that left St. Louis 6 points short. Schenn completed his first season as captain with 20 goals and 46 points while appearing in all 82 games. He played in all 82 again in 24-25, finishing with 18 goals and 50 points. In February 2025, he appeared in his 1,000th NHL game. His brother Luke had reached 1,000 earlier that same season. That makes them the first pair of brothers in NHL history to reach the milestone during the same year. That's a fairly specific family achievement. 2 brothers, both selected in the first round, 5th overall, in consecutive drafts, then both surviving long enough in a destructive profession to play 1,000 games. Brayden remained durable into 2025-26, but the Blues were sliding out of contention. At the trade deadline, his run in St. Louis ended. Schenn waived his no-clause trade and was sent to the New York Islanders. The Blues received forward Jonathan Drouin, goaltending prospect Marcus Gedloff, Colorado's first-round pick in 2026, and New Jersey's 2026 third-round pick. It's a serious return for a 34-year-old player. But the Islanders weren't only purchasing his scoring. They wanted a veteran center, a Stanley Cup winner, and someone willing to respond when opponents became overly familiar with his teammates. Although the circumstances were strange, the Blues and Islanders were staying in the same hotel when the trade was completed. Schenn woke up as captain of the Blues. Later, joined the team down the hallway. He played 61 games for St. Louis and 19 for New York, finishing the season with 18 goals, 39 points, in exactly 80 games played. That gave Schenn 5 straight seasons with at least 80 appearances. At 34, he was no longer the 70-point all-star from his first year in St. Louis, but he remained what he'd been for most of his career: available, physical, competitive, and useful. Brayden Schenn left St. Louis as a Stanley Cup champion, a team captain, and one of the most productive centers in franchise history. For one night in Denver, he was also a pure goal scorer. Next up, we return to the NBA Finals. For episode 30, Warrior 30, Andrew Wiggin, number 42 ranked Warrior. Andrew Wiggins had spent years hearing what he wasn't. On June 13th, 2022, with the championship series tied at 2 games each, he showed the Boston Celtics and everyone else exactly what he was. That's Warrior 30. And this was Blue 5. Thanks for watching.